Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I'm going to be doing a little bit of regular gameplay commentary. I'm going to be talking about be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. The gameplay that you're going to see is me using a normal gun, playing the way that I normally play, and you're going to be like, wait, normal play? You always do these in-depth videos. What do you mean that's not normal? Well, I'm always using pistols or shotguns or light machine guns or trying to crossbow people or wallbang people, and you don't actually get to see me play the game very much. You get to see me playing the role of the ideal class for the weapon, or just struggling to use some of the weapons in general. Right now I'm using a weapon that I actually like with the attachments that I like, playing a game type that I'm very familiar with, so you're going to see a very big difference in the quality of gameplay and my level of play. I'm using the MSMC right now with a silencer on it because it has the longest range of any of the submachine guns, and the silencer really doesn't hurt that too much. Also running Ghost so that I can stay off the radar for the most part, and lethal kill streaks. Anyway, the subject of this commentary is be careful what you wish for, and that applies to both real life and gaming. For the gaming example, we're going to talk about the design of Black Ops 2. Most of the big time COD players came in from COD 4 and MW2. I know that they had COD multiplayer, COD 2, COD 1, COD 3, you had World at War, but COD 4 was the big groundbreaker. That was the big blockbuster game. That one got everybody in there, and MW2 was the huge sequel to that. I mean, you had people come in during World at War, but MW2 was the really big one, so you got people joining in there too. And the design of this game, well, the designers, they took in a lot of feedback from the general public, and the general public has very nostalgic memories of COD 4 and MW2, and maybe a little bit of World at War, so you see elements of those games creeping in here because that was the feedback that developers got, that we do like these things, that we don't like these things. But the question is, did they get the right feedback? Because they may have been sampling the wrong crowd. When you go around asking gamers for feedback, it's a question of where do you want to ask? Who is your target market? Are you targeting hardcore gamers? And with the game here, Call of Duty, that's not really the case. Call of Duty is honestly a very casual game that's wrapped in a hardcore setting. It fools people into thinking it's hyper ultra competitive. It's really more of a casual shooter that anybody can pick up and play, kind of like Halo, but it's got this very serious setting, and it does have some hardcore kind of elements to it, some very competitive elements and some metagame going on. It's not like a Quake or a Tribes or Counter-Strike or anything like that, but you can play competitively. What happened is that the developers, when they went to develop this next game, they asked the community what they wanted. Oh, we want it like COD 4. Oh, we want this from MW2. We want this from these older games that were a little bit more competitive because they were simpler and they didn't have the crazy overpowered kind of stuff going on that you had in later games. And they also asked the competitive community and the Reddit community and the YouTube community and all these kind of people. So you're asking YouTubers and competitive gamers what they want, and they want very hardcore things. They want things that are very difficult to use. They want challenges. They want perks with pluses and minuses, and you get a very different sort of feedback than what you would get if you ask the general public. That being said, the general public would be the casual gamer, not the hardcore gamer. Very few of you guys are going to classify as casual gamers. You're already watching gameplay videos on YouTube and you're looking up tips, my tips, hopefully not anybody else's, because mine are the greatest and the best, but the casual gamer is the kind of guy that plays once every couple of weeks. He might get to first or second prestige over the year of the game. He just gets high or gets drunk and plays with his buddies. They play split screen zombies. A lot of single player. This casual gamer that I'm talking about, you guys are probably thinking bad things about them, but that doesn't make them a bad person. They just don't play video games as much as you, and they didn't get hardly any feedback into this because they don't give feedback. They're not on YouTube comments. They're not on, David Von Haar's Twitter all the time. They're not on the Call of Duty forums. The only sort of voice the community has is really the hardcore community. That's the vocal community, and that's the one that was sampled in creating this game. When that happened, you get stuff like weaker perks. Oh, no more pro perks. The perks are overpowered. They do too many things. I don't leveling up my perks. Okay, well, we have normal perks now, and they're relatively weak. They're not the strongest perks I've ever seen. Lots and lots and lots of people complaining about stealth, assassin, ghost, UAV jammer, all that sort of stuff. They've been complaining about stealth since the beginning of time, and the developers like, okay, we're gonna severely murk stealth. We're just gonna nerf it and trash it and tear it up. So you have a variety. You have what in this game? You have blind eye. You have dead silence. You have awareness, recognition. It splits up your stealth perks, so it's very, very hard to play stealthy. And even Ghost, you have to be constantly running the way that I am, rushing, playing very aggressively, and non-stealthy to even get the benefit of the perk, and that was something that hardcore gamers wanted. That's what competitive gamers wanted, because they played these very objective-based gameplay type, CTF, you know, or domination here, head-to-head, going at it very, very quickly to get these objectives. But the casual crowd, they wouldn't do that. They would just kind of sit in a corner and set up some claymores and just wait. That was their big game, and they were frustrating, but in real life, that's not a bad gun tactic, and for a casual game, it wouldn't really be that big of a deal if people considered this a casual game, even though it is, but it isn't. We've already talked about that. And one of the things that people always wanted, I always wanted 3 attachments on my gun. I always wanted more attachments on my secondary. What if I don't even want to run a secondary? Can I do something else with that slot? And they just kind of opened up everything here. It's like they just removed a giant section of coding and said, look, here are all these holes in your classes. Just do whatever you want with them. We don't care. Just quit complaining to us about class balance. Make anything you want, damn it. And then, of course, they put a little bit in there for balancing, but you do get a lot of freedom with your gun attachments. A lot of attachments in this game are perks from previous games, but they make more sense that way. Pretty much anything that actually will augment the functioning of your weapon is a weapon attachment. Anything that will physically augment your body is a perk, is the way I like to think about it. There's a little bit, you know, give or take, but having 3 attachments is cool. Picking it off the ground with 3 attachments, even cooler. And they cut out on a lot of the weird stuff. Quick scoping is considerably harder now. I know that there's already people that learned how to do it. They've killed me so many times with the DSR-50, it's not even funny, but there's less of that. Drop shotting has been nerfed. You're very, very inaccurate when you drop shot. A lot of people complained about that because fellows like me that had a scuff controller or played claw or played tactical would just drop shot, and it doesn't make sense for a game that's kind of sort of supposed to simulate reality. It's a hard, I mean, it's not a hardcore, it's an arcade shooter, but it was just really weird to drop shot. It just didn't even look right, so it's much weaker now. You can still kind of do it if they're in your face, but not so much at a distance. Less weird stuff overall. They kept the dolphin diving in. I'm glad they did because it was fun. It's almost never a good tactic, but it just is kind of fun. Look at this guy. I ran into his face. I was like kicking him in the face. I should have done damage, like my steel-toed boot to his teeth. Overall, this is a very fun game to play, minus the little weird bits of lag compensation and relics from the old Call of Duty netcode. I'm going to pick up a lot of people here with this grenade. Just watch that. It plays a lot like COD 4 in that your success is more based on your skill and less based on your gun or your attachment or your perks. Obviously, those things make a difference. You know, snipers versus pistols, there's differences going on there, but it's not as big of a deal as it has been in previous COD games. But the next segment that I wanted to talk about, which I actually planned to have more time for, was be careful what you wish for in real life because you just might get it. And my example from this is that I grew up as a rich kid, at least for a certain part of my life, but the school that I went to was full of mostly poor students, inner city students. So I was like always wearing these fancy polos and that sort of stuff, and everybody else was ghetto and cool and thug and that kind of shit. So I was the odd man out because my parents were rich and they bagged on me for being rich, and it was, you know, when you're a kid you just think that's a bad thing. And on top of this, I was also in all the advanced classes. I was like the smartest of the smart and everything was easy, so they bagged on me for being really, really smart. And I honestly got tired of it. I wish I could be poor so I could be cool, and I wish I could be broke so I could fit in and be thug, and I wish that I were dumber so that people wouldn't make fun of me about being smart, and then I could have friends and I wouldn't be such a huge nerd. And that all kind of changed all at once. When my mom left the scene, so to speak, I went back to live with my dad, and he was very, very poor, and I got to go to a private school, so I went back to being one of the poorest kids in the school. And on top of that, it was a very difficult private school, so I went from being a genius to generally being regarded as a complete dumbass by both the teachers and the students because I didn't learn things in public school that were very common knowledge there, things like fractions and spelling and English language and whatnot. So I got exactly what I asked for. I became very, very poor and comparably stupid, and it was not very fun at all. I would have much rather had it the other way around, but some things you don't know about until you're there. And that's kind of the moral of the story, both with video games and with real life. You have to be careful what you ask for because you just might get it. You got to give that little what you want. You got to think about it one more step. Like, what would happen if this? What happened if this and that? What happened if the people change? You have to give it more than just the initial want kind of thought. You have to think a couple of steps ahead to see if it's something that'll actually make you happy or if it's just a base desire or something that's annoying. That's the end of this game. I hope you enjoyed the commentary. I hope you enjoyed everything. If you've got any sort of feedback for me, leave it down there in the comments or on my inbox. I read everything. As always, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, and all that sort of stuff. I'm going to pick this guy up at the end. Look at my sexy yin-yang. That took me about 45 minutes to make. I wouldn't even play this game without my yin-yang. That's very important for me. And that guy is dead. Drifter out.